Everybody seems to have come to the conclusion that the Rookie of the Year race is a three-man race, but what if I told you that there's actually a fourth rookie with just about as good of a case as anybody? The truth is, Franz Wagner, despite flying incredibly under the radar, has been having an awesome rookie season that makes him deserving of, at the very least, being included in the discussion. Franz Wagner is a 6'10" small forward that can honestly do a little bit of everything. He's had an immediate impact from day one for the Orlando Magic, contributing in all areas of the game. He has way more of a case to win the Rookie of the Year award than people are giving him credit for, and in this video I'm going to tell you why. But really quick, only 5% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed to the channel, so if you love the NBA and you enjoy this video, why not consider hitting that subscribe button? It's free and it helps me out a ton. With all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Now, a big part of Franz Wagner's game is his lightning quick decision making. He doesn't spend a ton of time messing around with the ball in his hands, and more often than not, he's either driving to the rim or giving the ball up to his teammates and making a cut off ball to get open. It makes him a very easy player to facilitate offense through because you don't have to worry about him clogging things up. He just has an unbelievable feel for the game that allows him to quickly make a decision and continue moving the ball. Let's look at an example here. He's gonna fake this screen on D'Angelo Russell. He knows that if he gets Beasley and Russell to double Cole Anthony, it leaves him open either on the perimeter or near the elbow. He fakes the screen to initiate the double, but when Cole finds him, Taurean Prince and Anthony Edwards are both gonna come to try and guard him in the paint. He does a great job of keeping their attention, and when Bamba makes the cut, Wagner is able to find him for an easy lob. The two-man game between him and Wendell Carter Jr. has also been really fun to watch. Wendell has the ball and then he gives it up to Franz and immediately sets a screen for him. The Pacers are going to double team Franz at the top of the key, but Wendell makes a perfect cut towards the basket and Franz puts the ball right on the money for Wendell to have an easy time of putting it up for the basket. On this play, Carter Jr. gets the ball in the high post and he gives it up to Franz to initiate what's called a wing ball screen. This action gives the ball handler on the wing, in this case Franz, an opportunity to attack the middle of the floor. It also creates a situation where Valanciunas is in a 2-on-1 situation against Carter Jr. and Franz. Franz tosses the ball up and Carter Jr. is able to throw it down. This level of playmaking ability is even crazier when you take into consideration the fact that Franz is 6'10". He's got guard skills in the body of a power forward. The amount of flexibility that he has from a lineup building perspective instantly makes him an awesome long-term piece to build around. Now, relative to the other major rookies in the race right now, how does he stack up? Pretty good, honestly. He's been the most efficient scorer among the other top rookies with a true shooting percentage of 55.7%. He's also the only one of the top 4 rookies shooting over 34% from beyond the arc this season. Let's talk a little bit about his scoring because I think there's a bit of a misconception that Franz isn't a very good shot creator and that he relies on his teammates to create opportunities for him, and that's just not the case. Franz is a very capable scorer, whether it's through his own creation or working off ball to generate a high percentage look for himself. He's averaging the second most points per game among rookies this year, and he's doing it on the best efficiency of all of these guys. The really interesting part of his scoring arsenal from a creation perspective is that insanely good ball handling ability that he possesses. He has a ridiculously tight handle for a guy of his size and a surprisingly quick first step, so the fact that he can use his handle to get by guys and then make use of that bigger frame to get to the basket makes him really tough to stay in front of. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, in this play, he's going to use the screen set by Carter Jr. to shake Devin Booker. The only problem now is that he's matched up against DeAndre Ayton, who is a much bigger defender. As he's entering the paint, he does a really good job of keeping the ball tucked away on his right side as he makes his drive to the basket. The way he puts the ball up makes it nearly unblockable, almost hooking it from his right side high enough up off the glass to keep it out of DeAndre Ayton's reach. Wagner is athletic, but he's not a guy that's going to spend a ton of time above the rim. He won't hurt your defense with sheer athleticism and verticality, even though he possesses those things. Instead, he's going to hurt you with intentional movement that allows him to maneuver in a way that creates a good look. I really like how he uses his body to protect the ball, and he's very rarely careless. On this play, he's going to get into some traffic and even start to lose his dribble a little bit at a certain point. But what he does right is that he sticks his butt out to shield the ball from Brogdon, and then he keeps the ball low to the ground until he's ready to go up for the shot, and he ends up being barely contested. He's got a really nasty pump fake as well, and it's one of his go-to moves when he gets the ball on the perimeter. You'll see just how perfectly he sells it, getting the defender to bite even just a little bit, and then he takes the ball into some space where he can get a shot off. That particular play resulted in a mid-range shot, something that he really hasn't done much of this year. In fact, he's taken less than 40 mid-range shots this entire season. But if this is something that he can add to his game, something as simple as being able to pump fake and dribble into a pull-up mid-range, the impact this has is massive. He can already get to and finish at the rim, and he can knock down his threes, but if he can iron out some of that in-between game, his outlook as a scoring threat gets significantly more interesting. The important thing right now is that he's an efficient scorer and showing enough of an arsenal that he can realistically build off of it without being too limited. Now, that's covered his offense, but defensively, he's been relatively overlooked by the majority of the NBA community. He's an active defender even if he's not directly involved in guarding the point of attack. He's consistently prepared to provide either help defense or guard his matchup if he's put in a position where he needs to do so. We get a look at that effort on this play. The Timberwolves set a great screen on him on this inbound play, but Franz just does a fantastic job of getting his hand up to cause Edwards to rethink the shot. And when Edwards counters for a sidestep three, Franz is still there and he's able to get into his face and ultimately force the miss. Another great look at his defense, Looney sets a pin down screen on him for Wiggins, and Wagner fights over it enough to prevent the three-point shot. Looney then sets another screen for Wiggins, which Wagner once again fights over and establishes some better defensive positioning. Then, when Andrew Wiggins drives towards Wagner's weak side, Wagner doesn't overcompensate on the way back to recover. He knows that if he just turns and cuts off the open lane, he can force Wiggins to either pass out or put up a contested mid-range, which he ultimately does. I also really like how he monitors what's going on away from the ball instead of ball watching. Young defenders oftentimes get lulled to sleep on defense from watching what the other team is doing when they're guarding someone who may not be actively involved in a play. And then all of a sudden, a quick off-ball screen and their matchup has a wide open look. Franz does a good job of not doing that. He's not part of the primary defense on this play, instead guarding Jordan Poole on the perimeter. Klay is going to try and run a flare screen to get Poole open, but Franz is paying attention to what's going on and he keeps with him while simultaneously monitoring what's going on with the ball. Even though the play never got to his area of the court, he was still paying attention and remaining focused on defense. According to Basketball Index, he stacks up pretty highly in regards to on and off ball defense. I didn't include Mobley in this considering he spends most of his time guarding interior threats, so his numbers for these two categories are a little bit skewed. But for Franz, I think that he's just a really well-rounded defender. I will say that I'd like to see him used in some different defensive roles down the road, given that he is 6'10", and as maneuverable as he is, I think there's a really versatile defender in there that can guard both the perimeter and provide some solid interior defense. He's got a great nose for getting steals as well, averaging almost a steal per game, and he's shown frequently throughout the year that he's capable of picking the pockets of the opposing team if they're not paying attention and protecting the ball. He does need to add some muscle in order to reach that point, but that's something that's just going to come with time. Regardless of if he wins Rookie of the Year or not, there's no debate that he absolutely deserves to be in the conversation. He's played the most games out of all of these guys, and he's been the most consistent among them. He's most likely not going to win, and you guys can argue in the comment section on whether or not he deserves to, but that doesn't change the fact that he has some ridiculous upside as a player. He's only 20 years old and way ahead of schedule as far as his development goes. He has an incredibly solid foundation to build off of, and he fits the mold of the modern NBA with these really tall, forward-like players that are super skilled and can pass and play defense and shoot and create their own shot. He has all the tools necessary to be a future star in the NBA. So where does Franz Wagner rank in the Rookie of the Year race to you? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Like I mentioned earlier, only 5% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoyed the video, why not consider hitting that subscribe button and leaving a like? It's totally free and it helps me out a ton. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.